He started out working as a bike attendant, but always had big dreams. Despite people telling him to be realistic, he never gave up. He's acted in hit shows like SWAT, Criminal Minds, This Is Us, and now he's starring in the #1 hit show, Never Have I Ever. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Darren Barnet. So, man, what's up, and how are you doing? How are you doing?
That's a hell of an intro, bro. I appreciate it.
No worries.
It's good, man. It's good, quarantine's an interesting time. I spend a lot of time in my place anyway, but it's like not having the luxury to leave the house now. Like it's before, like I could if I wanted to. Now, really, it's just like there's nothing going on. So it's like trying to find things to do, stay creative, and not get too in my head, and find things to do with my hair because it's under here. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah. So are you alone right now, or?
Yeah, totally isolated, man. So
how was that? How was that been, just being totally alone?
Mother, she's been blowing me up all morning.
No worries.
I told her I was gonna call her back like right now, and she's freaking out. I'll call her in a second.
Okay.
But it's where was I? Yeah, it's. I told myself I would be getting a lot of stuff done. Like, man, it's all the time in the world to be productive and work out and get in the best shape of my life and da-da-da-da. And it's not been like that. It has been in a way, but it's like, it's hard because like when you don't have something calling you to like wake up early and get after it, it's like you're only human, So it's like, I want to say to anyone else out there, like, if you're not being the most productive person in your life, like, don't get down on yourself because, isolation can really make those feelings a little bit heightened. So just be good to yourself,
Right. And I have to be honest, like being in LA or anywhere in the world by yourself can be hard, being by yourself. So like how would you like, what would you tell somebody to and just encourage them, or what can they do if they feel like, man, I'm bored, or they need to do something? What would you tell them?
Do your best to just try and create some form of routine for yourself. My thing in the morning, and I've been doing this for like a year or over a year. And like when things really started falling into place for me career-wise, I somewhat do attribute it to this, is that the way I chose to face the day was that I'd wake up, and before it was like I'd check my Instagram, I'll check my email, and like my attention and energy is being pulled in 50 different directions. So now it's like waking up and just with gratitude. Like before I let my feet touch the floor, I count, I say thank you for every 10 fingers, 10 toes, my 2 arms, my 2 legs, my eyes, my ears, like all the things that you think like everyone has, but you take for granted and don't realize it, So I started my day like that, started small. And then anything else I want to do throughout the day is just an easier task, for me. So, yeah. But
I love that.
Yeah, thanks, man. And
I love that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I think I didn't answer that question exactly what you asked, but if you're bored, I don't really know, because I can do things that people would think are boring, like write and, sit and draw and paint and stuff like that. But I've really been having a great time FaceTiming friends, man, and connecting with them. So.
And I think you're right. At this time, we need to do something creative. If you can, call family. This is a time to do it, because we're home, and we're having time to self-reflect on life in a different way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Has there been anything that you've been self-reflecting on, or just something just been like, man, anything that you've been thinking about a lot?
It's that yeah, I think it's been interesting to me. It's been rewarding and fulfilling, but also like kind of sad that I realized how much more I'm connecting with people through like FaceTime and phone calls, and how I've never had conversations quite like this with certain people. And I'm like, it was because like you see, this is all I have right now is speaking to connection with people and not taking it for granted, because
right.
This is something that, it's a time where everybody is, at risk and everyone is threatened, and so I'm cherishing people and like really treating like you never know,
Right.
So
I totally agree. This is the time to call people, and speaking of self-reflecting, I would say you must have done that at an early age, because I believe at the age of 5, that's when you knew that you wanted to be an actor. So how did you discover your purpose so early on?
You know, I was my memory, my mom says I have a photographic memory, and I remember, like, I'm talking my third Christmas, I remember like everything. And what I do remember so clearly about being a kid is that I remember like when I first could talk, and I remember the first thing I did was I was like quoting like Forrest Gump or something like that. You know, it was like I was doing impersonations and doing dialects and accents, and I said to my parents, like, I'd be watching like Disney Channel or whatever as a kid, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And my parents both had tried it, and they both were like, you know, I want you to direct your energy elsewhere, which I understand. It's the most competitive industry in the world, you know, and this is something I haven't said in any interview yet, actually, I don't think, is I had like one shot, and my dad was like, all right, I'll take you to an agent when I was like 7. And he was like, but if they say no, like, let's do something else. And I was like, all right. So I went and did this audition, and it was very like Disney Channel. Like, she wanted me to be like, hi, I want pizza instead of spaghetti, or like some slogan for a commercial. And then she comes out and she goes, your kid's pretty shy. And my dad was like, see, you're shy. He goes, why don't we try something else? So I put it in the back seat for years and years and years and years. And
Hold on. Sorry to stop you. So
yeah.
your dad took you to an audition. I mean, to meet an age at 7 years old. They told you were shy. How did you not let that discourage you as a kid?
I did. I totally did. I put it in the back seat, and everything else. I mean, then I wanted to be. I mean, before being an actor, like I wanted to be like Albert Einstein and Michael Jordan. So like clearly my dreams weren't like confined to a small box. So I guess this was the first thing I was told no to. Like, my parents both were like, yeah, you could be the next Einstein or the next Michael Jordan. And I was like, I want to be an actor. They're like, oh, I don't know about that, man. That's kind of crazy, you know? So it was like, I think I had a misconstrued view of like what was a realistic pursuit and what wasn't. I did let it really discourage me, man, but I never lost the interest and the bug for it. And watching TV and watching movies were like therapy to me, you know, and I didn't have a lot of people to talk to as a kid, and it was the only outlet I had. So it was always something that I knew was there. But my mom, love her so much, but being kind of an overbearing Asian parent, you know, she's what people may call a tiger parent at sometimes, where it was like I either get like an A+ or I'm put it for adoption type of thing. Yeah,
Man. Okay.
Yeah, it was about school, and it was about, you know, getting a better. We were financially, you know, we struggled most of my life, and it was just paving a way where we didn't have to do that. So I said I wanted to be an actor. She's like, okay, well, you better enjoy being a waiter, because that's might be what it is, you know. Like, not saying she didn't believe in me, but she was just like, realistically, this may be the life that you choose, and you could be broke your entire life doing it. And if you're okay with that, do it. And I was just like, I think I'm all right with that, but I'm not going to be broke. So let's go.
You had a mindset of success, but I want to start with when you were discouraged. How did you grow out of that shyness? Because a lot of people struggle with being shy, but how did you grow out of that in time?
I mean, I was painfully shy as a kid. I mean, painfully shy. I wish she had given me a dark scene to do, like a dark, like the kid from E.T., you know, something like that, because I think I would have nailed it. But she wanted me to be like, you know, Amanda Bynes at the time, or whatever.
Right.
And my mom put me into martial arts at a very young age, and it forced me to like be in physical contact with people and be in a team group environment, and that really kind of took me out of my shyness a little bit. Was being in martial arts for so long.
They gave you some kind of confidence.
Yeah. And then my mom we'd go to church, and my mom would make me, you know, kids would have volunteered to get up on stage and like read verses, whatever. And she would always volunteer me, and I'd be like, I don't want to do it, but like, I'm really glad she did it now, because I would do it every week, and it was just something like getting up in front of a couple hundred people and doing that. Like, it was really beneficial, I think. So.
And with your mom being, you would say, a little bit stricter than other parents, did that give you, was there any type of pressure, like was there pressure on you?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Yeah.
You know, I moved to Florida when I was like 12, and, you know, divorced parents, and they'd been divorced since I was 3, and just a lot of kind of, you know, I'm not going to say I had a bad childhood, but it was, I said I had to grow up a little faster than I would have wanted. you know, and so we were leaving behind a lot of trauma in Florida, and we moved to Florida with my mom, me and my mom, and she was, I remember we moved there and like it was like this, you know, decent apartment complex, but very small, and she was making like $17,000 a year, like I'm talking change, and it was very much always a conversation of like, you know, if I ever messed up in school or if I ever said I wanted to do this or do that, my mom was like, damn, like financial stress is the worst stress you can have on the planet, and you need to find a way to not have this. Like you need to find a way where like you don't have to worry about putting food on the table like I'm doing. And like, and then my dream was like, great, now I want to find a way to take care of my mom. You know, I got to do this. Pressure was immense, man. It was immense. And when I was done with school, my mom was like, great, so what are you going to do? And I was like, I couldn't deny it anymore. I was like, I got to go do what I came to do. And she was like, okay, I think you're spelling lawyer wrong, but, you know.
There's people out there right now, there's about 2,000 people, they can relate to that. They can relate feeling pressure. And I think what you're doing is you're encouraging people that you're not alone. I've been there, and you can get through it. And I want to speak on high school a little bit because I wanted to know, like, in when you were in high school, I know that you were a captain for the lacrosse team, correct?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so even though you're in high school now, you're in in a low income community, did you ever feel any pressure to like deviate off this path of being like a straight A student to be something that you were not?
No. No, never. My
Wow.
mom, I had no more, there's no other person I had more fear or respect for than my mother. You know, so it was, I remember it was, quick backstory on it. Like when I was living in Orlando, like an outskirt kind of suburb area that, I didn't realize wasn't the greatest, like, it wasn't a bad area, but like there were very bad pockets of it. And I remember they opened up a high school there as like a relief school, and it was the school I was supposed to be going to. And it was like, their idea was like, let's take two F schools, bring them into one school with better teachers and see if they get a better chance at college. All they did was merge two rival neighborhoods together. And the day the school opened, there was like a 50-person like gang riot in the cafeteria. And
You were there?
I was in 8th grade at the time, and it was
Okay.
like it was basically like I was going there next year. My mom was like, we can't do this. Like you have to find a way out. And I went across town to take a test to enter like a scholarship magnet program for a better high school. And so I was admitted and I got in, and that's when I was really like very much like, I guess, tempted, because like all of a sudden like it was a different neighborhood with like a lot of rich kids. Most people I knew had like big houses, and I wasn't used to that. And people would ask me to go to parties and do this and do that, and I never went to one party in high school.
How did you do that? People want to know that.
Man, my schedule was like, I'd get up at 6 in the morning, I'd have breakfast, I would take a 35-minute commute to school, and then I would go to school all day. I had to take 3 college classes every semester, plus keep a 3.5 GPA to stay admitted to this school. And then I had lacrosse practice after school until about 7:30, and then I would come home. Ends with community service or other forms of training, physically, martial arts. I mean, it was always packed. I mean, by the time I was done with high school, man, like people told me, you know, oh, it's you know, life only gets more stressful. Life only gets worse. And I'm going to tell you what, dude, living this career where it's been one of the most stressful things in my life, because I constantly am faced with like, you know, before I was working was like, am I going to be that 50-year-old bartender that's still trying to book a guest star on a TV show? Like it was stressful, but I'm telling you, no stress matches the stress that I felt like when I was in high school, because every test, every quiz was like, if I don't get an A+ on this, there goes my Georgetown scholarship, there goes my Harvard scholarship. And it was like, my mom was like, you need to go to the best school ever or else. And that was kind of the mindset I had. So the stress was, I can't match it to this day. Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see your mom loved you so much, and the things that she'd been through, she wanted you to have a successful life. You know, that was,
Yeah.
and that's why she pushed you so hard. But you literally managed to do that. But speaking of that pressure of thinking if I
Hey,
become an
Preston,
actor, yeah.
real quick, man. I'm so sorry. Everyone here is saying
Oh,
hi, and I wanted to say
oh,
hi to
perfect.
everyone watching and tuning in, and your support and love for the show means the absolute world. It's more than you guys know. Like, so many people that that I was an admirer of, like an actor before, when they would say like, oh my gosh, the fans mean the world. I would always be like, bullshit, man. Like, you don't really care that much. Like, it's being here in this spot. Like, you guys are what has made the show a success and a hit, and that the love is real, and I really appreciate you guys so much. So I had to say that. Anyways.
And I'm gonna chime in on that and let y'all know that this is the first time Darren and I have spoken. I'm telling you, he's the real deal. A lot of people don't even stop to say that or stop to just acknowledge and just I don't know if it was church in your life that gives you humility, but I'm saying you keep that through all your way through success.
I've met enough assholes in my life to know I never want to be one.
I love that. I love it. That's a tweetable one. That's a quotable one. Okay, so many years passed since you have been, were turned down pretty much by that agency. How did you get back into acting?
Yeah, man, it was in school. I started doing plays and making student films, and friends. When I moved to Florida, I had a group of friends that would every weekend we'd go on their boat, because they lived on this little lake house, and we'd make movies, and we'd spend the whole day shooting and then making it up on the spot and then editing it and showing it to our parents as entertainment as they all drank beer like later in the evening. It was I never had just felt something so, like, that was the one thing, man, that I just craved to do every weekend. And that's when I knew, like, but it was something I had to shelter, because every time I said it to my mom, again, it was just like she didn't really want to hear it. And so like I said, when I was done with school, she asked, what are you going to do? And I was like, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he wanted to start a record label. His name, if he's watching, his name was Jawad Mazir. Love this guy so much. He was one of my closest boys in school, and he was saying, like, at the end of the day, man, like, everyone here has attained, like, we were talking about it. So many of our friends had these attainable things they wanted to do. Like, I want to be a PE teacher back in my hometown, and I was just like, I love that. Like, I really do. Like, sometimes I wish, like, if I could have something that I could look at, be like, in 2 years I can have it, and it's done. And I was talking to my buddy, and he was just like, how much cooler is it, even if we're failing, to say that we have the guts to go after 110% for what we want more than anything.
Fearless, yeah.
Because the worst thing and the biggest fear of my life was not doing it, and looking back one day and being like, maybe I could have. So it's yeah, it was all worth it, man, because I just this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I have to do. This is what I'm meant for. And I said it to myself all the time. And then I guess I had this delusion of, like, I'm gonna come back to LA, and it's gonna be an overnight thing. Like, it's just gonna happen. And it was a harsh reality for me. And I was crying on the phone with my mom, and I was like, I think I gotta quit. Because, like, I was broke as a joke. It was bad. And she was like, Darren, like, how can you quit something you haven't really even tried yet? And she was like, I see it in you now, and I'm sorry I haven't been behind you as much as I could have been, but I'm going to tell you what now, I fully am, because I had to see in you that you were willing to die for this. Because it can't be, and what a Japanese, like, honor thing, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like almost like samurai for her to be like, you have to die for it or you can't do it. But she was like, she was very much like, this has to be something you want to do more than anything in life, because everybody has this idea of, like, oh, I want to be an actor or an artist or do this. Like, everyone has that at some point. They're saying that. And then it's like, it's for you, and I want to be here for you, because you're obviously saying that because you don't believe in yourself enough to do it. How can I help with that?
Right.
Yeah.
And how has your experience been coming into acting as a Japanese American? Was there any struggle, or was it difficult, or?
No, man, it's because it's something obviously not a lot of people are surprised about. And I've been guest for every ethnicity growing up. Because growing up in California, it's funny, like, it was so cool to be, like, Japanese, and I was like, because you're a little kid, so everyone is just like, oh, karate, ninjas,
Yep.
like Japanese
Right.
culture is so cool. And I'm like, you know, and then I moved to Florida and it was just a flip flop. Because I remember when I moved to Florida, I was made fun of so hard for being Japanese, just
What?
so relentlessly hard for being Japanese. And so everyone thought I was like Cuban or Brazilian or this or that. And like, it's been throughout my career too. Like I've played ambiguous roles. Like my first role ever playing in LA, I was playing like a Chicano, like East LA drug dealer. And I put on like this East LA, like Chicano accent. And then, you know, I've done Middle Eastern. And it's, I love being able to play the ambiguity. But to say has it been hard? No, I think it's actually worked to my advantage because I know some people guess me for what I am. Some people are like, oh, I can tell you're like Asian, white, you know, whatever. But most of the time it's people can't tell. So I can play a very diverse range of roles. So I think it's beneficial.
No, that's really good. And how did you get past the fact when they were making fun of you for being Japanese? How did you just like forget y'all? I don't care what you think. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie, man. At the time, I just kind of stopped saying it, and then when people would be like, "Hey, are you Cuban?" I would just be like, "Yep."
oh yep, whatever it is.
Like, yep.
Oh my god.
Sí,
walking.
sí se puede.
Oh my god.
I was just like, no, what's Cuban? Coño, yeah, it's Cuban. But it's
that helped you. Okay.
Yeah, so I just kind of just let it slide as a conversation for a while.
Yeah.
And until I don't know, I think it was the neighborhood I grew up in, to be honest, and maybe the age bracket of kid, because it was like middle school where it was just like it was just so relentlessly I was made fun of for it. And then when I got into high school, I told you I went to a high school across town, and it was just different. I don't know. I was in a magnet program called Center for International Studies, and there were a lot of, you know, it was a pretty diverse range of kids, and it got to the point where it was like, okay, cool. Like I'm comfortable saying what I am now again, and I don't know. It was like relentless.
They make fun of you if you don't got the right shoes. If you ain't, I'm just.
What are those?
Yeah. It's different now with social media too, because they filming everything. It's different generation now, man.
Yeah, man. So that's I'll tell you, like I can confidently say I was not. I was always trying to stick up for the little man, you know, and a lot of times it got me in trouble. But yeah, that's something that I really hope I can address at some point, is because bullying and stuff like that really, like, I was bullied at a point, man, and it's like you don't understand what it does to what it can do to a kid in the long run, you know. So it's
what would you tell a kid? What would you tell a kid right now? I mean, they're watching. There's many people who've been bullied. What would you tell them? So they, you know, just.
I think again, you have to, you know, understand try to understand where it's coming from the other person. You know, because I think when a person acts out like that, when a person acts out and tries to put you down to build themselves up, they need love. You know, it's a cry for love.
Yeah.
And I think that really needs to be understood. And it takes a lot. It's not like you can just, it hurts when someone calls you a name or physically assaults you at school. Like I get it, you know, but it hurts worse if you take it as it was valid. I deserve that. It's because I'm a chump. It's because of this. It's because of that. Rather than being like, it's because that man is insecure or that girl is insecure, you know, and that I need to recognize that. I think it makes it easier on your part.
You know what, then I realized that the bullying, even from middle school, high school, when you're adult, it don't stop. Even when you become successful, they're still bullying. They're still gonna talk about you. Is that crazy?
Yeah. And the most dangerous part about it is that it's just, the older you get, I think the more subtle it becomes. You know, it's not in your face. It's something where, like, even if like someone just, it's subtle things that people will do, and you can't, if you address it, you seem like you're overreacting because they're like, what are you talking about? I didn't do anything. And like, that's the danger of it now. You know, it's funny how people just become more silently immature as they grow older. You know?
And you talked about moving from Orlando to LA to fulfill your dream, fulfill that passion that was burning inside. But you started as a bike attendant. Now, I'm gonna be honest. What is a bike attendant? What did you do for that
Yeah,
job?
man. I worked. Well, when I first got back to LA, I'm not gonna lie. Like the first job I had, I was working at Guess Jeans as like as a salesperson, and then I moved out to West Hollywood, and I was living with my sister at the time, and I worked at a place called Soul Cycle, which is a very high end like indoor cycling studio, and it was a fun job, man. But it was nothing but celebrity clientele there all the time, and it was so inspiring, but also so discouraging because you're sitting there being like, God, I'm sitting here making minimum wage, and all I want to do is do what you're doing. Oh my God! But a bike attendant was like, people would come in and they'd have to, like, you have to get the height of the seat right. You have to fit their shoes for them right and make sure they're strapped into the bike right. So I was the person helping them with that, and also cleaning all the sweat and disgustingness off of all the bikes between every class, and then spraying the shoes and cleaning the shoes that were full of sweat. And this is what I did. And a cool story about it, though, it's this was my first like moment, like, damn, like I'm kind of doing this. Was the first guest star role I ever booked was for Family Reunion on Netflix, and it's the show with Tia Mowry. And at the time when I was working at Soul Cycle, Tia Mowry was one of my favorite clients. Just so sweet, so nice, so always came in, was just best friends with everyone at the desk, and I would always help her set up her bike. And push forward 4 years later, I'm in the table read for the first episode they shot of the show was with me, and I'm at the table read, and Tia Mowry comes in and sits right next to me, and I'm like,
Wow.
Tia, do you remember me? And she goes, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, this is crazy to me. And I'm like, so it was just that moment where I'm like, 5 years ago I was cleaning sweat off of a bicycle, and now I'm sitting in a room about to do a show. Like, it was just, it was one of those moments, man. It was great.
You started from putting in the work, from short films, from moving to LA to cleaning up sweat off the bikes,
A lot of
man.
sweat, man. A lot of sweat.
And just to think, like, with everything you went through, look at you now. Like, how does it feel right now to have a #1 show on Netflix from all the things you've been through?
Man, I'm this may hurt me at times, but I'm always going to be nothing but honest, because I think the last thing the world needs is another, I don't know, actor coming out there and just always trying to say the right thing. So I'm not gonna be that type of person. But it feels amazing, man. It feels wonderful for sure, and I'm thankful every single day for it. But it's also scary because you get to this point. I wanna let me explain to you something.
Okay.
Like 4 or 5 years ago, I was sitting at a diner called Craig's on Santa Monica Boulevard. And it was, again, a place with a bunch of celebrities. And at the time, I was barely working, and I was working part-time at Soul Cycle. And my sister at the time was like, I had been offered a full-time job, and I turned it down. And she was like, why would you do that? And I'm like, because I want to act. Like, and I can't have a full-time job and make auditions. Like, I can't do it. And my sister was very bent out of shape about it because, like, she knew, I'm not saying she didn't believe in me, but she was like, you need to make money. Like, this is how the world works. Like, you turn out and, like, I don't get what you're doing. And I just started crying, man. I started crying at the table. My buddy from college was there, and
Wow.
I was looking across at this booth where Sarah Silverman was sitting. And she was looking at me while I was crying, and she was so concerned. And I was staring at her with, like, God, like, if only I could just be where you're at right now. And I wouldn't be crying, and everything would be figured out, and all my insecurities would be gone, and I would feel like I made it, And I'm not trying to compare myself to Sarah Silverman, but just saying, like, if I was able to be doing what I love for a living right now, I would be making it, And so the other day, man, before quarantine, obviously, I was sitting at the booth where she was sitting, staring back at the table I was crying at. And I was staring at it, and I was just like, I can't, like, wow. My friend's like, what? And I'm like, 5 years ago, if I were to look at myself where I'm sitting right now, I would have been like, that guy's making it. That guy's doing it. But it never feels how you feel, how you expect. So I was, just like at this table looking at where Sarah Silverman's sitting. And now I'm looking back at the table where I was 5 years ago. And I'm like, God, if I were to look at myself right now in this chair, I'd be like, this guy's making it. This guy has it all figured out. But it never feels how you expect. Because I'm here, and I am so thankful, and I am so honored that people like Mindy Kaling and Lang Fisher and all like wanted me to be a part of the show.
Wow.
And the fact, the reception is amazing, but then you get to this point and all you're thinking is what's next. You know, it's and I'm not just talking like season 2, I'm talking like now I'm doing something that honestly 5 years ago I would have never said to myself, like, you're about to be one of the leads on a Netflix show in 5 years, and oh, it's gonna go #1. I would have been like,
all over the world.
yeah, I would have been like, you know, stop drinking so much. But like it's like now it's like I all I want to do are like, you know, I want to do like my first film in the movie theaters and see myself on screen, and then do this and do that, and it's a scary thought, because then you think to yourself, like, when will it ever be enough? So what I'm realizing now, and this is something that having all this reflection period has helped me do, is you need to be enough for yourself. It needs to be enough within you, whatever you're doing, because there's no external thing that you're doing that's going to help fulfill you. You know, and although I'm so happy and so grateful, it's not, you know, the show and all of that is not what's going to make me happy. You have to find it, you know, inside.
Inner, right.
Yeah, as cliche as it sounds. And I've realized now, I'm shameless to say, I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of things that I put off in myself, because I was like, you know what? My happiness will be figured out once I'm like a working actor. Once I have my first big show, it will be figured out. Harsh reality is I'm realizing now that I'm here and, you know, doing what I love, it's still all in here. So
where did your happiness, like you just said, it doesn't come from being a big movie star. Where is it going to come from you, where it's unconditional, where it's, you know, where you can get it now, you know, anytime you know, where's that at now?
I think I don't know if it's anything you can ever expect to get like now. You know, it's something. It's a journey, man. Like you do create your own happiness, but one thing is really just enjoying the little things. You know, there's so many things before. I was so focused on, I need to get here. I need to do this. I need to get my first show. And it's like, I put so much aside, where it's now like, I'm like, you know, so I wake up with gratitude every morning. That's one thing I'd say will make my day. It makes my day every day. It makes it better. It makes it easier. I just wake up and I'm like, you know, I used to be like, oh, I don't have a TV show. I don't have, like, I'm not a working actor yet, but blank. And I'm like, dude, there's so much other shit going on. Like, there's so much other shit going on. Like, is this really what I need to be crying about? So now it's like I wake up and I'm like, you know what? Thank you. My eyes work. My ears work. I have 10 fingers. I have 10 toes. I can walk. I can run. And I'm like, there are people that wake up every morning, man, that can't do that. That wake up blind. And I'm like, so starting my day that small just makes every other problem in my day that much more small.
Yeah, you're waking up, you're speaking things over your life, you're acknowledging that I'm blessed, like with what I have, and I'm going to be happy with what I have been given.
Exactly, man. Because it's, you know, I could be the biggest movie star in the world tomorrow, but I understand now, and I'm understanding now, like, that's not what's going to make my life better, make me happy. You know, no amount of money, no amount of recognition, it's here. You know, and I'm realizing now it's also here, and it's helping other people. And one of the greatest things about the show is, like, everyone has been hitting me up, like, you know, how's it feel to have so many new followers, like, da da da. And I'm like, it's great, and I love it. What I love about it is it's not like a vanity thing, like, ooh, look at me. It's I have so many people that I can somehow impact, and in a
positive way.
You know, and one of the greatest things I heard of from the show, I don't want to say who, because I don't know if she said it yet publicly, but one of the cast members of the show, her family member, came out after seeing Fabiola's episode of Never Have I Ever, where she comes out. And things like that. That's why I'm in this, is to, like, inspire, to help, to touch people's lives. Like, that's, I don't know if it sounds egotistical that I think I can do that, but that's why I do it. You know, that's why
you do it.
Yeah. So,
well, we're almost finished with the interview, but not quite. We have, I asked them, you know, your fans, I don't want to call them fans, but people that really love the show, and they had some questions. So I got, the first question is from Andre from Milwaukee. He asked, why do you think Paxton was into her at the end instead of the beginning?
I think Paxton, like everyone else in the show, had a facade he was trying to maintain, being, you know, I'm the cool guy and she's not cool enough for me. Like, it was just someone that Paxton's the guy that probably, you know, he's always gone after the cutest girl in school, like the head cheerleader, like that cliche, like, oh, this is my
Right.
status, I need to date my status. So Davey was just something that he never considered. Not like, I'm not saying he was like, it was an offensive thing, like, ew, but I think once she showed like how much of a firecracker she was, it was kind of like a shock and awe factor with him. He was like,
Right.
whoa, like, this girl is so bold and so kind of unapologetically herself. And Paxton is not used to that. Paxton is used to dating the girl that's putting on makeup every morning and doing this and doing that and trying to be everything that she's been told she needs to be. And I think it's just because she really, I will say this, there's nothing sexier than seeing someone unapologetically in love with themselves. And I think that's kind of what Davey showed, is that she was just like, you know what? This is me. What's up? And,
Love that.
Yeah.
All right, we have another question from Sarah.I.Garrett. How do you like playing the role of Paxton? Is he related to you in any way in real life?
Yeah, no, I Paxton was a lot of fun for me. I got to be honest, I did not expect, I really did not expect the amount of love he was going to get as a character. I saw him more as a smaller part of the show for some reason. I was dead wrong on that. And I'm happy to say that now, but it's, I relate to him in the sense that he's a book very much judged by his cover. And my whole life, you know, especially when I was in high school, was people would, I don't know how many times I heard it, like, hey, you know, before I met you, I mean, I love you now, but before I met you, I thought you were a real jerk. And I was, it was just like, thank you for the backhanded compliment.
Right,
like, that's like a backhanded compliment, like wearing brass knuckles, you know? So, like, yeah, I can relate to him in the sense that, like, people expect one thing from him before they speak to him, and then they get something else. And that I can totally relate to that.
We have another one from Ashley_Gatson98. Do you think being a heart throb will make it harder to take being seriously as an actor, like in the future?
No.
No.
You'll see. I have.
Okay. I like that. You'll see.
I mean, every role I've done before this was, I mean, with the exception of one, was not the heartthrob. But it's I have a role coming out that I can't really speak of right now, but it's a totally different dynamic of me that comes out next month. And then I also say that when I did this audition with Mindy, it was them very much being clear that, like, he's the hot guy, but he is more than that. And so I made it my job. I'm like, I need to make this guy more than just being abs, and I need to make him a person, you know?
Right.
And a lot of people in my life have told me, like, this guy easily could have just been the hot guy with nothing inside of him. And that's my job as an actor. And that's what I hope to accomplish any time. And I'm confident to say in myself, I will, this may be one of the only cocky things you hear me say. I believe I can do any role thrown my way.
There you go.
100%. So
good. Yep. You got to have that. You got to believe in yourself.
100%.
We have to believe in ourselves. We have another question from Tiny Riot _. What advice would you give a fellow artist?
Do it for the right reasons. Do it for the right reasons, and realize that no one can do your art form like you can, and you're enough. You know, as an actor, it's, I don't know how many times I used to go into the audition room, and there's 50 people in there that look just like me, and the first thing in my head was like, oh, that guy's taller, that guy's better looking, that guy's better dressed, that guy fits the part more, da-da-da-da. And I really didn't start like booking roles until I walked into the room being like, no one can do it like I can do it right now. You know, no one can do what I'm about to do, because I was called in here for a reason, and I can do it like no one else can, and this is how it's going to be. And also doing it for the right reasons. I have a lot of friends that ask me advice on acting, and I have understood a lot in this town that there's so many people that do it for the wrong reasons. It's fame, money, access that a lot of people want this for. If that's what you want, you may be very disappointed. Not because I'm not going to say you never work, but there are so many actors. Probably there are more actors in LA than ones that are famous, that are just making their living and making a decent living, and they're not recognized everywhere they go on the street, and they don't get front of the line at every nightclub and all this. I'm sorry, just that you think this is about.
Right.
Reasons, because that's the only thing that's going to fulfill you, you know. And I do it for the reasons of when I was a kid and watching a movie, like, it was, I could cry, laugh, be inspired to, you know, make up with my mom after a fight, because you realize life is short. Like, those types of things are what I want to do through film, because film is an art form that transcends everything, in my opinion. So
right.
Yeah, do it for the right reasons, and realize you're enough.
I love that. I love that. We have another question from NINASN. What does it feel like to have a part in? What does it feel like to have part in the immediate success of Never Have I Ever? I guess the success of how big it went so fast.
Oh, real quick, I saw an interesting question here. I just want to say, someone asked me, why is chasing money bad? It's not bad. I'm not saying that it's bad. It is, if that's all you want, you have to understand that you may never have enough of it. So money is the type of thing
that's true, because we're constantly going.
You're constantly climbing. So it's not bad. It's not shameful to say that. It's just realize that if money is all you want, you may never be able to get enough of it. And if that's what's controlling your happiness, you'll be chasing a dragon that doesn't really exist. So.
And you know what? I bet you that's a big cause of depression for a lot of people.
It is. It is. I mean, you know, I'm a big fan of like 90s hip hop, man. And what's the one thing, you know, more money, more problems. You hear that. I never understood that. I never understood that. And I'm still like, I'm not saying like, you know, I don't want more money. I do. But it's like, you see these people that become millionaires, billionaires, and it's like, they get everything they want. And then what? A lot of them have like a huge drug problem, and a huge this, a huge that, because they're trying to fill this void. They're like, oh my God, I have everything I wanted and it's not enough. What else do I do? You know, and it's like, so it's not bad to chase money. It's not bad to chase fame. I think it's just bad to do it if that's the only reason you're doing it and that's all you want, you know?
Right.
So
love that. We're going deep, man. We're going deep. Thank you, Darren.
Yeah. Sorry. The
question we got about two. Oh.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So we got we got two more questions. Sorry, it's a little. Ayana_J. She says, can you tell us about your first date and kiss?
My first date and kiss?
Yes, the first kiss. That's what they want to know. You got to give it to them.
My first kiss was in 7th grade, and she was a girl I was obsessed with at the time, who we were like in drama class actually. And she was like, I think I wrote her a note like, do you want to kiss tomorrow? And she was like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, cool. And so the next day I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, like maybe meet me there. And she was like, okay. So I went to the bathroom and I waited, and then she came and met me in the hallway. And I remember we kissed, and right when we kissed, a teacher came in the hallway and caught us. And it was absolutely nerve-wracking. But she didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. Okay. She walked right past us, and my heart was like, because I told you as a kid, like I was not allowed to get in trouble. So I'm sitting there being like, like my mom's gonna put me up for adoption. There goes my scholarship. There goes my life. Like it goes on my permanent record. Like I was freaking out. It was so funny. But yeah, that was my first kiss. 7th grade in the hallways.
well, now they know, because everybody's been wanting to know that. Well, I know that great things are ahead of you. You just were so vulnerable in this interview, which I appreciate, because a lot of people are not vulnerable with their struggles. What's next for you?
Wherever the wind takes me, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Got the eyes of smolder in the rock.
You know, it's a hard time right now to say that for anyone, because I think we first got to understand where the world's going right now, you know. And I'm staying positive. I'm staying faithful that this is all going to be, you know, we're going to be back to our somewhat normal lives soon. Hopefully a little bit more conservative in terms of just like trashing our planet. I hope everyone's a little bit more conscious of that. Next for me, man, is I just want to get back to work. I would love a season 2, but I want to do my first movie, like my first like big movie. I want to be in the theaters. I would love to do a thriller, suspense. I would love one day to work with David Fincher, Martin Scorsese, and I'm shooting for the stars here. But, you know, 5 years ago, if I were to be saying I want to do what I'm doing now, I would have been like, nah, it's not going to happen. So I'm kind of done saying that to myself. Yeah, so I want to do some big movies, man. That's, and I also want to write. I write a lot.
Well, you're going to do it.
I've been working on. I would love to sell a pilot. Yeah.
And last question, what is the best advice you've ever received?
I was in a casting office for a general meeting with Marnie Saida, who is the lead casting director for Days of Our Lives. And we just, it's a long story that I maybe I'll get into another time, but she basically told me, like, she was saying to me, like, in this town, it's very easy to fully become someone else because you think that's what you need to be to succeed in this industry. You need to put on muscle. You need to get tattoos. You need to do this. You need to, and it's, she basically told me, I'm sorry for my French, but like, F word, everybody. Because when it comes to you, you have to understand that your job is to show up as the artist, be unapologetically yourself, do the work as hard as you can, and leave it at the door. And that's your job. And that was some amazing advice at the time I needed to hear, because those were the times where I was like, he's taller than me, he's better looking than me, this guy's more muscle than me, and I was in the room just always comparing myself. And it was really one of those moments where I was just, you know what? Now I walk into the room, and what I say to myself every time is I walk in and I go, I'm dangerous as hell. I am so dangerous, and no one even knows it, and I don't need to show it. You know, and that has, I think, helped my work, helped my presentation of myself. And one thing I do say to myself all the time, like, I know all these actors have all these things that go down with like quotes that they said, and this is something I do say to myself all the time, and I just randomly said it to myself, and it is, the moment you think you are better than someone is the moment you become worse than them. And that's a motto I try to live by.
The last one, I really like what you said. Can you expound on that a little bit? Just a little bit towards the end of like what that truly means to you.
Yeah, it's you know, I will always treat the janitor with the same respect that I'll treat the CEO with. And it's because the moment you think you're better than someone is the moment you become worse than them. And I feel everyone deserves to be treated with the utmost respect and love, because you never know, like, how you can really be tapping into someone's life or inspiring them or changing them or just helping them just by being a respectful, kind person. Right. You know, and so everyone, no matter what their walk of life, no matter what prejudgment you may have of them, from me, they will get the same respect as someone I love and adore, like my family, you know? So.
Right. Well, Darren, thank you so much again for being just an example, bringing that positivity, light, and love right now. I just enjoyed it. Thank you for everybody who's watching and listening in. And like he said it before, he appreciates you. He loves you. Thank you. And just continue to binge watch. Never have I ever. This is the legend, Barnett. And we just look forward to watching your success, man. So thank you for your time. And be able to stay in touch. And I look forward to meeting you in LA soon.
Thank you so much, bro. Preston, you're the man. Everyone, thank you for stopping by.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you.